Nothing, our next guest would agree, I'm sure, compares to the old Argo boat. He's worn it many times, and the general manager of the Toronto Argonauts, Mike Pinball Clemons, joined there. That got him going. How you doing, Pinner?
Good morning. How are you, sir?
100%. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the time, my man. How are you finding time in your day to get ready for this season?
Oh, my goodness. Well, we've been getting ready for this for a long time. And now that it's here, it feels like everything's a rush. And so you think that you prepared everything and you're all set and all ready. But this past week has been an aggressive week, as we would say in football.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate the time because I know how busy you are. But when that vote went 9-0 on Monday and you knew you were going to be playing, maybe you knew ahead of time what it was going to be, but a lot of relief across this land. Players, fans, staff, I'm sure you felt it.
Yeah, I was fully confident until in like the last 5 days. For some reason, the last 5 days, I got a little anxious and I was less confident that things were going to go through, not for any apparent reason other than this was the vote. This was the D-Day. And fortunately, it turned out exactly as I think we all would have hoped.
So tell me something about the Toronto Argonauts. Pinner, I think I can finally say I think you're my team. I wear blue almost every day. I love you guys' gear. Nick Arbuckle's my guy. Chucky Hughes is my guy. You guys are in a tough division, but how are you feeling about your club?
You know what? We feel great about our club. We're actually, I would say, politely challenged by the place that we're in this 14-game schedule. We play 7 games. Half of our games are either against the 2 teams that finished first last time we played or the team that won the Grey Cup. So 50% of our games against the 2 guys that finished first and the other guy that won the Grey Cup. So that's the nature of our league, though. This is a tough league, and you think of, when we put this team together, we were thinking of, a team that would mature in the second half of the season. And the reality is if you don't mature in the first half, I don't know if you're going to have that chance. Typically in the second half of the season, you can do a lot of work, but in a shortened schedule like this, I think that we're going to have to produce earlier than later. So that's our greatest plight. We certainly have talent. There's no doubt about that. We've increased our Canadian talent. We have more playmakers. Our offensive and defensive lines have both gotten better. The middle of our defense certainly has gotten better. The back end we've got guys who are more proven, like Shaq and Robinson Daniel and Arjun and guys like that maybe are a little bit more proven than the guys that last dressed for us. And so we can look at this and we look at some playmakers on the offensive side of the ball, especially in that receiving core. And then 2 quarterbacks, not just Nick, who is, our proposed starter, but we also have McLeod Bethel Thompson and got him back and leading. He led the league in passing yards in 2019. Yeah. So. Yeah. So there are some real positives and some things that we're encouraged about, but the reality is we've got a new front office, myself included in that. We've got a new head coach, and there's a ton of new players, and so we're going to have to come together a little bit quicker than I think we would have hoped. But my goodness. TGIF. Thank God it's football.
Oh, yeah. The rest will sort itself out. Our comments are going off like a slot machine here, all of them. Oh, boy. Like a pinball machine, my producer just said. From Troy in Toronto, pinball's my favorite Argo of all time, not because of his on-field excellence, but because of his off-field heroics. What a gentleman. While his on-field exploits were gargantuan, Off field, even more. Hall of Famer in every regard. From Ryan in New York. Love pinball. His energy and passion would want to make anyone run through a brick wall. Arlen Bruce III. Yeah, Arlen Bruce III is watching. He says, "This is our league." Have you sensed?
My God.
Yeah, he watches every day. He watches every single day. Are you seeing how?
Oh, my good. Can you just give him the biggest virtual hug for me?
You just did. You just did.
Oh, my. Wow. I love that man.
He just said, Arlen says, "I believe Toronto Argonauts will be in the 2021 Grey Cup. Just saying, I would take a bullet for pinball," says Arlen Bruce III. So there you go. And by the way, somebody was talking to me this week about your head coach, Ryan Dinwiddie. You know what they said? They said, "This guy is all class, and he's going to be successful." And I said, "You're not telling me nothing. I don't know. I've known the guy since 2007, but I'm guessing every single day, Pinner, you're seeing why you hired this guy as your head coach."
You know, and we can speak to his character. And I think, as you mentioned that, I think people have met him. But to see him in his working environment, this is his element. As a kid, he was telling the story about his dad was a football coach. And so he was born on the field. And one day he actually got zipped up in the ball bag. I mean, that's his father wouldn't want that story duplicated too many times, but he has grown up with it, and he absolutely loved it, and is just one of the hardest working guys that I've seen. Between John Murphy and Ryan, the level of work, the level of discipline, the level of regimen, these guys have challenged me. And so I'm just so proud that we chose a young guy who deserved the opportunity. For me, my thoughts going in were to actually get someone who could stabilize the franchise, someone who was more proven, who had more miles on him, and his interview just blew me away. His charisma further to that. His charisma is one of conviction and authenticity, right? He's got conviction about who he is and what he can do in this game of football, and there's a realness about him, right? He is an inspiring guy, but he's not the most inspiring guy I've been. But he may be the most authentic guy that I've been around. So I'm just really excited about him, really excited for him, and really proud that he is our head coach.
I could tell me this, Pinball, if you agree, but I just don't think you can have too many leaders, because you kind of just described yourself in a way. But Dinner and just the guys that you have in that coaching staff and the players I know, I don't think you could have too many leaders. Would you agree?
You're absolutely right about that. And the reality is that we all lead in some way, whether we know it or not. We are leading, and not all positively. So you're right. You're absolutely right. You can't have enough leaders, but we need to punctuate that by saying that you can never have enough great leaders, and even good leaders, and even leaders that are on the plus side of 500. Right? If we can get everybody on the other side, we have a winning recipe.
Listen, I know you don't have a lot of time left, but I want to ask you this about what appears to be a blueprint to have local players. Like Dejan Brissett is a regular viewer of this show, supports everything we do. All those Toronto area guys, you got a lot, right? Was that obviously was by design. When did you guys come up with that idea?
So that was by design. We spoke of that. But I really want to thank John Murphy for executing on that. He is just a real leader in our room. And, I tell our guys all the time, if you're the smartest guy in the room, it's your own fault. right? So we are special as a group. It is our collection of abilities, our collection of talents, and so as we looked at, there are some things that we identify in guys at different positions as well. We have things that we are looking for. We're very intentional about what we're looking for, and in Ryan Dinwiddie, we found that guy, right? We were looking for a guy not only who had character, but that was passionate, that understood the game, that knew the game, that committed himself and dedicated himself to the game, and he would be able to lead by example as a head coach, and so in every facet of what we're doing, we're trying to replicate that, and so having those guys who are local, who are part of the community, are so important. And the difficult thing is that you can't, keep them all, right? So we brought Natea J back, and this off season, right? He ended up going to Montreal, and because we had actually gotten another local guy, and so with that, we are consistently trying to reinforce the things that are important to us, and Canadian talent, and not only that, local Canadian talent is extremely important to our process and what we're trying to accomplish.
The one I forgot was Juwan Brescison. I love that kid. I can't wait to see him out on the field balling in 82 for Toronto. Pinball, I will let you go. Anything else you got for the viewers before you get back to your day?
Yes, I do. And for the viewers, and I know your viewers are national, but I know your core is in what is my second favorite province. Of Saskatchewan, and has always been, and you had a young player who was a defensive back that every once in a while would guard me, and he was about my height too. He was only a couple inches taller than I am, and you probably know who I'm talking about by now. But he was always the rider that at the end of the year, where you pick the most popular rider, and he's a defensive coordinator in our league right now. You probably know.
I was gonna say, I was thinking Richie Hall. I'm like, you talking about Pine?
He was such a fine gentleman, and the way I saw the community embrace him is the way that I hope that I would be embraced. I'm just thankful for your province and what it means to our game, the commitment, and we can say that it's the only professional team in the province, right? The reality is it is the center. It is the most important thing, not because it's the only team, but because you've made it so. And so our league owes you so much, and I look forward to coming out there. Although I think I've lost more times out there than I've won, but I really look forward to coming out and hopefully seeing you. And you are a foundational piece of our league and its success.
I'll tell you what, Pinner, thank you. And by the way, it's September 17th because Chucky was in here the other day. He's got it circled, right? But when you talk about Richie Hall, they don't make him better than they do not make him better than that guy. And you can imagine how jacked people are to have CFL back, Pinner. So look, thanks again. I appreciate it. Thanks for the kind words. We'll see you soon.
Absolute pleasure. Okay, thank you. We'll see you on the field. All right.
Mike Pinball Clemons joining us. And I'm wondering how long conversations are between Pinball and John Murphy. Woo-hoo! Could you imagine?
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.